Hey guys, I got some news for you. You probably already know these, but you might still be trying it. Because it's being told that it works. But rigid routines, one-size-fits-all advice, don't survive when things get tough. They might not even thrive to begin with. But eventually, over time, they fade. And this is why. We know from behavioral science that biological misalignment leads towards resistance. Things get off. You might be in complete alignment with that routine that you just designed, but over time, since it's so rigid and since it doesn't adjust, your environment is going to change. What is your environment? Well, it might be your social dynamics within your home. Your kids might get out of class in the summertime, don't they? It might be the holiday season. It might be the environmental weather, the temperature happening on the outside, the lighting. It might have been 4 p.m. that the lighting got dark if you live far away in the north or in the south during the wintertime. And then it might be 11 p.m. when it gets dark in the summertime. One rigid routine doesn't survive and don't help you to thrive on the long term. Instead of that, an understanding and a system that adjusts with the environment does help you to achieve sustainable growth and allows you to become the best version of yourself throughout the whole year. There is no reason to compromise and leave chips on the table when you can be achieving more during certain times of the year, or trying to reach way too hard and way too far during other times of the year that lead you towards dissatisfaction. It might lead you towards a burnout. You are not that messed up. Most people give up when life gets tough. Why? Because they have been taught that this one routine is the solution to all their problems, but they don't realize that timing changes, that environmental cues change, and that leads towards frustration, overwhelm. That leads towards very negative feelings that it just perpetuates that negative cycle that you get into and might end up into a crisis. It might be a short one, it might be a deep one. It depends on who you are, it depends how many times you're going through this, and it depends on your level of awareness. But it doesn't lead towards a positive, sustainable change. If it does, it might lead towards chronic diseases. When we fight our way through a rigid routine all year round, we're actually in misalignment for a very long period of time. That is the perfect storm and the perfect recipe for a burnout. I have experienced 2 of them early in my career, and they put me away for about 6 months, each one of them. I closed my businesses and I had to take a break. I was making money, I was achieving, I was being successful, but I couldn't handle it. My biology knew that something was wrong. Stress became chronic. And it wasn't perhaps for the activity that I was doing, but perhaps it was the timing, the intensity, and the misalignment of that fluctuation that we live throughout the year. So what I want to offer to you is a system that modifies with the seasons to allow you to achieve sustainable growth. It will allow you to expand consistently and prevent those ups and downs. It very simply could be changing the timing, frequency of the behaviors that you're already doing, or it might be just looking at your whole system and put it together from zero. The framework allows you to plug yourself into, understand the conditions throughout the year in your specific geographic area. I cannot give you advice on that because where you are might be very different from where I am. And I accept that. That's why I create a framework, and that's why I'm not creating a video telling you what to do. Because what you're supposed to do will depend on who you are, your genes, your unique genetical imprint, and where you are and what time of the year you are. If you are in Seattle, it would be very different in the spring than in the winter. You might be in the exact same place, but if you're watching this video 6 months apart, the advice will be completely different. That's why a framework and a deep understanding that guides you step by step allows you to plug yourself into it and to live the best life you can live, be the best version of yourself in the moment. You see, when you break down those rigid routines into a system that has 4 components that are in complete alignment with the environmental pattern, then you can be the best in that moment. What that does is that since it's a cycle, you will most likely be able to plug yourself back into it next year. But the key here is to understand when to transition, how to transition, and why to transition. That way you can achieve prevent those up and downs. You're constantly in an expansion mode. You're constantly in the flow. You feel the best version of yourself. Now, that took decades. That took over a decade for me to develop and to truly understand. And I want to be called a seasonal expert because that's what has been my focus. I have been able to understand in detail how the environment changes. I have studied many different disciplines. Epigenetics tell us, if you know who you are, your genes, and you know your environment, and we can now create a lifestyle in alignment with those two, the genes and the environment, that equals the best version of yourself. That's what's going to allow you to achieve more with less effort, to enter the flow in every single season, even the ones that you have been struggling with so far. Because that's how I became aware, by struggling through a few specific seasons. But then I realized I wasn't just struggling one season of the year. I was struggling throughout the whole year, but it became so much evident during a specific season of the year. So what I want you to understand is that even if you're doing well, there is still room to grow. And the reality is that most of what you have learned, now you can put to use, you can leverage, and you can increase their effectiveness when you understand the season you're applying them to. Because of that, I have many resources in the description of this video that you can choose and plug into. Please like and subscribe. We're putting content about the seasons, the environment, and your genes constantly, and I look forward guiding you towards your seasonal routine. That is your first step, creating a seasonal routine that will allow you to be the best version of yourself in this exact same moment. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, don't stop here. Click the link on the screen and I will show you exactly how to shift from theory into action. And of course, like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we come up with our next video.